Thanks for the opportunity.
Sir.
I'm the director of Texas Impact. We're a statewide interfaith organization, and I was glad to hear you say those nice things about Methodists. All 6 United Methodist annual conferences in the state of Texas are members of Texas Impact, as are a lot of other religious denominations. And when y'all were talking about the need to generate activity around the priorities of the organization, so far we've been responsible for more than 1,000 legislative visits during this legislative session, and many, not most, but certainly a lot of them have been from United Methodists. So we're trying. The first point that I'd like to say is that we would second what it seems like everybody else here has said this evening, and that is that the health money in the ARRA should go for health care, and that should be a priority for the legislature. We also agree that the eligibility system is clearly the key to that. So our support for spending the Medicaid money in the area of health, I was happy to hear my friend John Hawkins say what he said about the nature of the one-time funds. I'm going to throw a Methodist quote out there since everybody seems to be throwing quotes out, and that is John Wesley said, "Do all the good you can in all the ways you can for all the people you can as long as ever you can." Clearly, this is an opportunity to do a lot of good in a lot of different ways for a lot of people, in some cases for 2 years and in some cases for generations if we do things right. The second thing that I want to talk to is your committee charged to look at what other states are doing with respect to the ARRA implementation. Mr. Perryman said earlier he kind of compared what you're doing to playing a game, and he said that the other players are what are the other states. From the faith community's perspective, of course, I'm going to say, we would say this is, like I would say to my kids, it's not a beating game. It is an opportunity to learn from each other, and I think there's a lot that Texas can learn from what other states are already doing. There are 2 things. So Texas Impact has done a lot of research on what other states are doing with respect to their implementation, and there are 2 or 3 things that are rising to the top as kind of best practices or models that we hope that Texas will learn from and implement. One of them is that in other states they are putting together public-private work groups to make sure that the funds from the ARRA are used most effectively, in some cases using funding streams from across different agencies or policy areas to get at key legislative priorities. And the stuff that Susie was just talking about is a good example of that. Another one that's particularly close to a policy priority for Texas Impact would be combining funding streams from really a lot of different agencies to implement the green jobs legislation that's been put forward this session. You could use funding from SECO, TDHCA, TWC, some of the child care money, also money from the unexpended TANF funds for the job training, and probably more than that. So there's a lot of funding streams you could bring to bear on those green jobs. That's especially important because, and it kind of speaks to the wanting to do some kind of planning around this up front, job training monies to do the training part of the green jobs, the more of the weatherization and energy efficiency money you'll have to actually do the weatherization that the people that are getting trained to do. So using the money most effectively from each funding stream will make the best use of it and be able to get the most stuff done over time. The second thing that other states are doing that we're really impressed with is, and they're doing this a lot through their websites, helping the public get information about the ARRA in a couple of different ways. One, and y'all are doing, of course, a great job getting the transparency information out on your website. That is not actually the part that I'm talking about. That is important, of course, and the number one thing is to be transparent. But they are getting information out to the public about how the public can make proposals and how the public can get access to the competitive funds that aren't actually coming through the state at all, that are coming directly from federal agencies to successful proposers at the local level. So, for instance, in the state of Maryland, they've gone around the state and done a set of workshops in the local areas where entrepreneurs and nonprofits can come, and they come and sit at a long table, and somebody says, if you're interested in this policy area, here's the money that we know is available or going to be available, and here's how you go about getting it, who you might want to get together with so that y'all could put be something that Texas could be doing right now for Travis County and groups like that, and also for local nonprofits like the housing providers that you heard tell of the very first hearing that you ever had. Another thing that states are doing on their websites, and today, I mean, we're looking at them every day. Today I'm most enchanted with Ohio and Illinois with respect to this particular thing. They are making sure people know how to get the benefits that Eva was saying are the ones that are coming straight to people. So in Ohio, you can go to their website and it'll say, how do I know what my food stamps are supposed to be like now? How can I apply for them? And you go and find out where and know how to apply for food. You know, a very blunt question in their FAQs. I lost my job. What am I supposed to do now? And so it would be, I think, really helpful if Texas would look at this sort of that public information, not just the information about what the legislature is doing, but the information for people about how they can benefit. Overall, I'd say we're most interested in seeing that the ARRA implementation in Texas be not just transparent, but in fact transformative, and that it be focused, not fragmented. And I'll just hit one more time my plug for the way to make sure it's focused is to make sure that there's public-private participation early on in making the decisions about, you can do a lot with $16 billion. You can't do everything everybody wants to do. So there will have to be decisions about what the priorities are, and the green jobs is a perfect example. You can do a lot of stuff, but if everybody starts spending their money in a piecemeal fashion, even if everybody's got a good idea, you'll lose the opportunity to leverage some of the job training money that's out in agencies that SECO never heard of, because they don't usually have to worry about that. So making sure that that stuff is focused is really important. The problem that we see is that the appropriations process that was laid out on the floor like a week ago, I guess, indicated that the subcommittees would be told how much money they would have after a certain point in the process. If you haven't laid out that strategy of combining funding streams across agencies, all the agencies won't be in the same subcommittee in their part of the appropriation. So it would be hard at that time for each of those subcommittees to know which. So if you got HHSC with the TANF money and SECO with the green money, those two subcommittees, unless somebody has asked them to, would never think to talk to each other, I wouldn't think, or unless they're just friends anyway, they wouldn't think to say, well, I know to fund this green jobs, we ought to put welfare money together with energy efficiency money. So that's our hope, is that y'all will give them that guidance early on so that we can really get the most out of this. Our position overall, get all the money Texas possibly can, and make sure we do the best possible job with it. So thanks, and thanks for sitting and waiting.